Hello, this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cozy card that actually has got fur on it. I have salvaged this fur from an old cat tower that my cat wasn't using, and when I was dismantling it, I thought, oh, it's actually too good, this fur, to throw it away because it's still clean. The cat hadn't used the furry part, so I kept this plush. Yeah, and I've already cut it to size, and I'll show you in a moment how I measured this. In order to cut these, I have made a template. I have used a white piece of cardstock, and I have drawn some lines there to basically get the middle of this bit, which is a bit smaller than my cardstock. So this is how I figured out which size it would be, and it perfectly fit the word hug. And I've also drawn a line to align these smaller letters. And by doing this, you only need to align these letters once, and you can reuse this. As you can see, I have cut it through the white cardstock first, because now I can use this as a template to cut from the actual cardstock. So all I need to do now is to place it on here. When you do align letters, and maybe you want to change the wording, this, by the way, is slightly smaller than a 5x7 card, because I want to have a bit of an edge around it. So when you do this, make sure you have enough space around the letters, because when you place the fur in the back, you want to have a bit of, I'll show you later, I'm going to make an edge with foam tape, so you need to have a bit there. You don't want the fur to stick out on the side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick this down so it doesn't move in my die cutting machine. Put this through. Be a bit off screen now because I've placed my die cutting machine on the side here. So one thing I forgot to mention is, when you make this template, make sure your tape with which you place down the letters is only on the edges, and on this, in this case, does not cover these holes. Because the good thing about this is now you can actually remove, if you remove the top bit, you can actually release these. Sorry, I just get the right tool here. You can just poke these through and they should come out easily. Just remove the top layer. Oh, these actually have come out except for this one, because if you put the tape across, it will hold on to these and they're a bit more difficult to remove. Yeah, so this comes off as it was before, and you can reuse this, unless obviously you need the letters for another project. So as you can see, these come off okay. If you find they don't cut all the way through, I've always got a problem with the letter U there, but I think that's down to the die rather than this method. Just use some scissors and cut it through. There we go. And that should come off nicely. Obviously you can reuse these letters for another project, which I will. So, the same here, the M doesn't always release. If you find it doesn't cut through, I mean, this is a rather thin cardstock, you can also use a shim underneath or a shim on top. If I say shim underneath, use some foam or some silicone mat, or if you have something above it, like a metal shim. Okie dokes. So don't lose the inner bit of the A, because we'll be using these. and these just pop to the side here. Okay, so just flatten this out a bit. So now we can place the fur on it. As I said, I've already cut this to a size because basically it's the size of this minus the strip I have down there. You just want a bit of an edge around the letters. And all I need to do, let me just pop my, oh no, I forgot one step. Good thing I noticed now. Because what happened last time, and oh yes, it happened the same time here. I don't know if you can see it. Because I had a piece of paper going up to here, I have a bit of an edge here. And so last time I decided I'm just going to dry emboss over this. If you don't want this, and if you want to have this plain, make sure your template with the letters is on a full sheet of paper so you don't have this edge. Yeah. To stay in theme with the COSY card, I have chosen this embossing folder. I think I got this off Amazon, so I'm going to use that again. So in order to put this through, I just mist this a bit with water because then it cuts a bit more nicely. I'm doing this off screen, really just misting, don't get it too wet. And because I've got a small and slim embossing folder, this way it wouldn't fit. So I just put it across there, and the design allows that nicely. And it's up to you which way around you want to do it. On this card, I have actually embossed it, so it's the image goes in, and I think I'll do that again because then the mug sits on it flat. So just making sure, get it in the right way. You can decide where you want to put the design. No, I'm actually choosing the other side. I just got more leaves there. And then that just goes through the embossing folder. Just need to change the shim. Sorry, the sandwich. And it's one thing I always do, lose my other plate. There it is. Always make sure you do the die cutting first and then the dry embossing, because once you've dry embossed, you don't want to send it through the die cutting machine again. There we go. That's dry embossed. There we go. You've still got a little bit of a line, but it doesn't matter too much. If it does bother you, can always go on the other side and use your bone folder to get rid of it. Just put this on the floor so we've got some more space. So now we can align the fur. So all you need to do is just glue it down. I'm using some collal glue because I find it's easy to apply and it works with a fur. If you have a water-based glue, it might not stick the fur down well enough. So the important thing is to get it onto all these parts so they don't move later on the fur. Especially these little bits, because you don't want them to catch later. Yeah, I think that'll do. So now I place this down. So that's, oh sorry, as in leaving a bit of a rim. It doesn't matter if it goes down here. Sorry, a bit of an edge, not a rim. You might notice I'm not a native speaker. I'm German. I have been speaking English for over 30 years, but I still sometimes choose the wrong words, and I don't really rehearse these videos. I just do it as I go along. So, and there we go. All you need to do now is add in the little bit for the A. using my picky tool there. Put a bit of glue on it. If the picky tool doesn't work, you can also use some tweezers, which I'll go and find. Never mind. Try to be organised for these videos, but I'm not always organised. Put that in place. There we go. Obviously you can change the wording if you like to have something different, as long as it all fits. So what I like to do now is I like to put something on top just to get a bit of pressure on it and make sure this glue sticks. So while this is drying, we can assemble our card. If I say assemble, I've already die cut this from this greyish matte metallic cardstock, and I have also cut a little red heart. There it is. Yeah, this die cut, by the way, is a generic one. I think I got that off Amazon. If you just Google mug die cut, it also came with this cream bit, but that unfortunately didn't fit on the card, so I'm not using that today. So I'm going to glue this on there. This is also good for using up scraps. There we go. And on my original card I also used some Wink of Stella sparkle, just to make it a bit more festive. Don't know if the camera picks up on that, but that looks really nice. So I have also cut the beverage bit. Oh, I've got a bit of a stain on there. Never mind. I've got a, yeah, I've also cut this from craft cardstock. What I suggest, if you cut just a little piece like this, don't put this in your die cutting machine like that. Always use a piece of scrap paper underneath so you don't cut right into your plate. Yeah, so protect your plate a bit. So I'll tell you what, I'll just cut this again. I don't know what that stain is, but I don't want to, that's the card, so I might just as well show you how I did this. Just move this to the side. I always try not to have the videos too long, but I'll do it properly. So let me just put it on this side. So what I did was a piece of scrap paper, put the cardstock on there, just put this on there. Oh, I forgot one layer. And there we go. Cut from cardstock, and this can go in the bin. So it should have dried enough. Now I always assemble these things before I glue them onto the cardstock. I find this the easiest. So you could even, if you wanted to, you could even stick that on before you put the fur on, but it's not too bad. So There's a little brown piece. I did see in another video, can't remember the lady's name, she did a bit of Copic colouring and shading on pieces of cardstock like this, on die cards, so you could do that within the coffee bit, but I decided to leave it plain because there's enough to see there, enough focus there. So that's the front bit. We can press that down a bit. So you could, if you wanted to, cut this off a bit, but it doesn't really matter. So what I have done to give it a bit of height is I have cut strips from foam, craft foam. You could use double-sided, sorry, not double-sided, yes, double-sided, but foam tape. But I don't like foam tape because it's sticky on the edges, and I prefer this really, and it's easier to handle as well. So I have doubled them up. They don't need to be quite exact, but make sure you've got one side even. So this is the side that people look at. If you find you don't have enough space there, but you could actually cut this down, you can still do this on this. Oh, by the way, never use your paper crafting scissors for fabric or fur. Use your use some other scissors, any household scissors, or these obviously are proper sewing scissors. So you could cut this down a bit carefully. Gives you a bit more space. You can remove that a bit. I think I've glued it down a bit, that's why it's coming off, but doesn't matter. So, and all you need to do now is glue these down. I have already measured them, but I think I'll just take a little bit off. This is just cut from an A5 piece, so it had a good length. So as I said, get the even edge on the outer bit and just put this down. And that keeps the fur nicely in. No, I'll tell you what, I actually will use this piece on the top because I've got a slimmer piece that will fit there more nicely. So I can just put this there. This one's a bit slimmer. I just cut these with my guillotine, but of course you can just use your scissors. Oops. I'm trying not to show this on the front, so I'm just checking this, and yeah, I think it's competing a bit on the top here. That's better. As much as I like to keep these video shorts, it is important that you take your time to do things properly and not rush your projects if you want to have neat results. So all I need to do now is add a bit here. And then you see I've got some spare craft foam that I will just use to fill this in. That doesn't have to be perfect because you can't really see it on the outside. So once that is all firm, all that's left to do now is to add some glue on the back and stick it down onto our card. I buy these pre-made. I find it easier, especially at the 5x7 size, because you need quite a bit big of cardstock to make that. My glue is getting a bit clogged up, but it's not too bad. So I'm also putting a bit on the fur in the back. Again, that's the advantage of the collal. It won't be too wet to seep through the fabric and make it look funny on the other side. So, just checking against the light that I've got enough glue on there so it won't come undone. Always check how your card opens. You could actually do a top folding card if you did make your own cardstock. So I always lay this straight on my grid, and then you just press it down. I've got a bit of glue on my fingers, so I'm trying not to rub through much over the card. And there we go. We've got a COSY HUGGABLE card. Oh, this is a bit of spare fur. I'll probably have to remove that a bit where I cut it down a bit, so I can take that out. There we go. And we've got a hug in a mug. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would give me a like, that would be great. Even bit better if you subscribe to my channel. I upload videos a few times a week, and thank you very much for watching.